behind everything that they have is really awesome. And Egg Shin, of course, because fucking he's Egg Shin.
Hell yeah.
He's had to be at the very, very like beginning too, because in the way that I see it, the way that I see it, you really have the same characters, but their ancestors.
So
everything.
Can I interject here? Would you cast, say, like Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son, as the Jack Burton descendant?
There could be a possibility of that, just because.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and any of their kids that are still alive could be those people. Why not?
Yeah. But they would be their ancestors.
Correct.
Yeah.
They would be the other the beginning of all of this.
I just really like the idea of a Kurt Russell type character in a Western.
Well, yeah, of course. But then the thing about it is you can literally have these characters not really know much about their backstory because it's a great kind of a lineage.
Right.
It's not great, but it would just be like the 2, maybe 3 generations back.
Right.
Character. And of course, like my characters would be Jack Burton, but his name is Jackson Burton, right? So it'd be his great grandfather, great, something like that. Wang Chi's, great grandfather too. And then you got Gracie Law would be in there, but it would be Gracie Lawson or something stupid like that. She wouldn't be a major part in this. I already kind of omitted her and didn't want her to be part of it. Yeah. Then Egg Shin would be the same person and Lo Pan would be the same person.
Right.
And this, in the way I have it starting out is basically it's Egg Shin go into a battle at Lo Pan's castle or something like that at the very, very beginning. And it's like all of Egg Shin's like warrior.
This is in Big China.
This is actually in China. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in China and Lo Pan is getting ready to leave, but you start the whole movie in the middle of like a fucking siege. Mm-hmm. And they're going after the castle. They're throwing things. They're doing. Every one of them has their own 6 demon bag. People are dying all the way around. But then Egg Shin's
I think everybody can have up to about a 5 demon bag.
Right.
If you got a 6 demon bag, you're a badass.
Yeah.
Too much.
Well, they're all apprentices.
Demons,
they're all. It's almost kind of like the way I would almost envision it is they all kind of look the same, like they're all shaggy kind of dudes and stuff like that, and they really literally like live to the order has been created to take down Lo Pan.
Right.
And his mentor, the main person in Egg Shin's order or whatnot, this is like his last battle. He's been battling him for 100 years and his ancestors have been battling for 100 years, and they pick people like on the basis of, I don't know, like, there's like prophecies where they pick these monks to basically become Egg Shins, you know what I mean?
Like they test them at youth.
Correct. There's all kinds of things like that, right?
Kind of like the Dalai Lama, like you lay these things out in front of them, and if certain things happen,
and they figure them out.
He picked the right book.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
You
they
chose wisely.
Yeah, they picked the right finger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then they have this whole entire order of everything. And then his main person at the very beginning gets killed, right? But at the same time, he sees, and I even have it in my head how they would do it. It would be that big battle, and then the whole place is on fire. Lo Pan escapes after he kills his mentor and everything like that. And then he looks down and he's looking around and this whole place on fire while his master's dying. He sees a map of the United States, specifically San Francisco.
Right.
So he has this big giant deal
Burns up as the map burns up.
Yes,
basically, and then you see the Indiana
That's
Jones
your
kind of
cut,
map.
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's basically like Egg Shin getting on a boat. So the first thing he does is he arrives in San Francisco. So it's been months. Lo Pan's just been there too. Like he gets a late start and it's a couple months behind or something like that.
Well, he had to probably, take care of put his orders in a fair.
Right. Well, he was basically on his way out the door. Lo Pan was, but then Egg Shin wasn't. So he had to create all this stuff and get his bag ready and get whatever he needed to go over. Because apparently there's orders in all different countries.
Right.
Just in case Lo Pan decides to do something,
Right.
But America's is like the lazy one.
Yeah. Places where
saying?
they've immigrated. Sure.
Yeah. Well, so and of course it's San Francisco, 1898 or 1874 or something like that.
Sure.
So it's in the later part of the 19th century.
Yeah.
So it's still.
So they're like, this is still like them doing railroad work for.
Yes. Yeah.
But San Francisco's rather big. Is this before the gold rush? But they're still finding gold out there.
They're still finding gold, yeah.
Yeah, this probably be kind of the end of all that, actually.
Yeah, be close.
Right?
So basically the city's been built for a long time, and it's just run down already.
Right.
And especially Chinatown. Because Egg Shin does talk about Chinatown when he's giving his tour. So Egg Shin knows every nook and cranny of Chinatown 100%, because he's been there since like almost the beginning of it.
Well, I mean, that makes sense too, because, and for it to be run down is just because, the Chinese immigrants weren't treated fairly or paid well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
so
whenever,
that makes sense. They would have shanty town sort of a thing going on.
He arrives on the dock, and that's where his order is right there. Is they have a little shack right off the dock, right?
Right.
But Lopan's been there. He's gotten off the ship. They really didn't know. He almost travels like a vampire. You know what I mean? Kind of hidden. Nobody really knows Lopan.
Buried in his own dirt.
Yeah, something crazy like that, right? But then Egg Shin gets off, and the first people, while he's on the boat, they show him kind of interacting with people. In the Indiana Jones style, and and they show the red line kind of just sailing around the Horn of Africa or some shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't go that way. But you don't know who he's talking to. So he's getting off the boat and he's helping these people off the boat, but they are the descendants of Wang Chi's family.
Okay.
They're coming into town to actually go work at a general store. And the person that was introducing them into everything was Gracie Lawson or Gracie something, Gracie Lawson.
Watson.
Yeah.
No,
Gracie.
It's got to be, I think you have to keep the Law last name.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have to do
You
something.
just change the first name.
Yeah, you'd have to do something different with that.
Lucy Lawson.
And then she's
Lucy Law.
They all get off, and then they're like, "Good luck in America," and good luck in America. And then he turns into his deal, and then America's like, it's some fucking shitty monk. This is like, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming. I sent you a letter like 3 months ago. What the fuck, man? You're supposed to be ready." And it's like nothing ready. But then we find out that that's when we introduce the Jack Burton character, because he's on the same exact road that Jack was coming in on his truck, because Jack is actually a lawman in this one.
Oh, okay.
Jackson Burton would be a lawman. So he comes in and he stops at the general store where they all kind of converge on at some point. You know what I mean? They get to this general store. They walk in and he sees, Wang Chi and all of them, and there's like a robbery that kind of happens, something weird like that. Like some of Lopan's dudes come to go after Egg Shin.
They're talking tough.
Yeah, but then they actually end up killing fucking the proprietor of the shop.
Oh.
So guess who's there to take over the shop anyway? It's the actual Wang Chi's family, right? So they're there to take over the general store, the dry goods place, everything like that, right?
Yeah.
And then Jackson is in there, but he's waiting for two people to show up. And here's my big Easter egg for it. Because he's waiting for these two cowboys to show up, because they were going to go on the lookout for a crystal skull. They're supposed to meet in San Francisco to go look for a crystal skull that's supposed to have mystical properties or some shit like that. So who are those dudes from? House 2,
right?
It's Slim Reezer and it's fucking Gramps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They show up there to meet at that specific location, but that's when his horse gets stolen after the raid on the whole place, right?
Right.
And everybody dies, and then they kind of figure out, and then Jackson's like, "Well, I got to get my fucking horse back," so that's
he's
when
trying
he
to get his
started.
horse.
The whole time he's trying to get his fucking horse, right?
Yeah.
And then Lopan is starting the Wing Kong Express or whatever the exchange. Right. So he's putting together his army of badasses, right? Like the fucking Gerald Akamura, you know what I mean? And then that's whenever you find he's looking for all the extra elements at that point. And we get to see who becomes the fucking dastardly creature that's at the very end of it. Oh. Because we actually meet somebody that's part of Lopan's organization that he turns into these fucking creatures.
Nice.
Right. And
so he turns somebody into the eyeball one?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I think I have it to where basically he's creating all of this stuff in the arcade before it's the arcade.
Right.
It's still underground.
It's like just a shipping seller from his shipping business.
Right. And then the general store is actually the Legend of the Black Pool restaurant.
Right.
But it's in the same spot, but it's all Old West shit like that.
Right.
And then Jack's like, well, you know what? I can't stand behind and let everybody not do this. And he's he's the hero in this one.
Because he's a good guy.
Because he's the good guy.
Man,
yeah. And it's an Egg Shin movie. But yeah, Jackson Burton is the one
This
that's
is
actually
the Asian Jackson Burton joint.
yes, where he's actually a badass.
Yeah,
like he's really legit. He's not a bumbling idiot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you actually get to see a good lineage of his family, and then Wang Chi too. At the same time, his family. I even had their names too, man. Fucking, I even forgot what all their names are. But
Are they badasses?
Yeah, well, he is, because he comes from he comes from another order, over there too.
Main guy.
But it's like his family starts the good guys, the yellow dudes, where they're like and they do that little deal. Yeah, so he starts that order, but yet all that because he's practicing martial arts there, and then they all get together at that point of it. So you still have the battle of those guys, plus the Mystics battle with the main dudes, and then I also see a lot of like gunfights and cool shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the street, the street that they're fighting in is literally the back alley of where the original one took place.
Nice.
So you see them building the cornerstones of what those buildings are.
Okay.
And that's where they're getting into their main fights and everything like that.
I like that.
So everything is connected underground because they're building all these underground tunnels. So you have all of that coming together.
Right.
And of course, he finally would of course find his horse, but yet he decides to stay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he ends up, Jackson Burton decides that he's going to stay in San Francisco and help out, because he finds there's another woman protagonist in the movie that basically helps him create his lineage at that point in San Francisco. So it's somebody else that's
Not a law, because that would be weird.
That would be weird. Yeah.
Sexual kissing or something.
I thought about that too. I was like, no, we can't put him and Gracie couldn't be together. It would have to be something else.
Do you have a name for that character?
I think I did. But you see, I mean, he's still searching for the girl with green eyes the whole time too.
Yeah.
And, maybe she's the shopkeeper's daughter that he falls in love with. Mm-hmm. And she's got green eyes,
Right.
So, but there's, and
so they had to go after him to save her.
Yeah, that's where Lopan is learning what he's got to do in the States and how he's got to live in the States, because he's went through all of the green-eyed girls in his prefect or whatnot.
And there, I mean,
China.
He was more like a warlord, seems like, in your story, which is awesome.
Yeah,
That's
cool. Like he had, he'd been there for centuries, been alive.
Right.
So he'd been able to build all this stuff up, and he started with the Wing Kong exchange over there, but then he has that over there, but they're stronger, and they're just building up all of the aspects of what happened in San Francisco afterwards too, because they're creating that lore. You're creating that lore with that, and then that's why Egg Shin basically is still alive that whole time.
Absolutely.
Because he's just as old too, because as soon as he takes over whatever the leadership of everything, he becomes almost immortal like Lopan too.
Yeah, or at least extremely long lived.
Correct. So he can battle him, or eventually, and as soon as he kills him, that's whenever Egg Shin's going to die anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He
because he's been at the end of it. You know what I mean? As soon as Lopan's gone, the order can disappear. They don't need that anymore.
So he won't have to be around, even though the younger folks would be.
And then their whole in battle and everything like that would involve them basically draining all of their power to where Lopan basically has to go into hiding. Egg Shin has to go into hiding, everything like that. And then they just start, you have that full 100 years between.
Right.
You know what I mean? That literally nothing else is going on. They're just slowly building, and Lopan knows that Egg Shin's there. Egg Shin knows, and it kind of almost stemmed from that whenever they were talking about, he said, "You never could beat me, could you, Egg Shin?" So he fights him 2 times, and he feels like he beats him the second time, but it's not over with.
Right.
And that's again why Jack sticks around. And then Slim and fucking Gramps, they end up leaving.
Right.
Leaving course, Jack, and then he establishes
Slim's got to
roots.
die. In the Mojave Desert.
Right. Yeah. So that branches off into that in a weird way. But those characters are pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool tie-in.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'll be. You and I have talked about this in the past, and I'm excited for the opportunity, not only for this, which I think is perfectly tied in. I like the idea of a Western ghost story. Anyways, it's something that appeals to me. And I love the lore that you're building. I'm excited for the prequel to this prequel, which is Egg Shin trying to get the demons for his demon back.
That would be the other
which
prequel
you and
too.
I talked about. I was like, that would be that's the next
You just go
evolution
in
I want to
reverse.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just go in reverse from the movies. Here's your Egg Shin trilogy in reverse.
Yes. Yeah, and then you have fucking Big Trouble, and then you have Little Trouble in
Big China.
in Big China, and then you have something else.
Yeah.
Like I don't even
Middle China.
what
The Legend of Egg Shin or something.
it was like Big Trouble in Little San Francisco or something like
Yeah.
that.
Little Italy.
Yeah. Ooh, it's all the Italian.